He found an old ship in the desert, it said. "Good to serve you again, Admiral." 500 years later. The Aldar wastes were endless. To outsiders, they were nothing but death, rolling dunes, cracked bones, and a silence so heavy it pressed into the soul. But Malik had lived his entire life in the desert. He knew its whispers, its moods, its shifting secrets. That morning, while scavenging scrap near the ridges, he found something the desert had hidden for centuries. A glint. At first he thought it was ordinary, maybe a rusted engine plate or a piece of armor left behind by raiders. But as he dug with his battered spade, sand sliding away in sheets, the outline revealed itself. Not a shard, but a curve. Not wreckage, but a hull. Malik froze, heart pounding. He uncovered more, working furiously until sweat stung his eyes. Before him lay a vessel unlike anything he had seen. Sleek despite the scars, immense despite the sand swallowing most of it. A ship, not a ground skimmer, not a desert hauler, but a relic from the old age. His hand trembled as he touched the cold metal. And the desert answered. Blue light flared beneath his palm, veins racing across the alloy like lightning waking from a dream. A deep hum filled the air, and Malik stumbled back. Then, a voice. "Good to serve you again, Admiral." The words echoed with calm certainty. Malik's chest tightened. "What?" The ship rumbled, sand sliding from its hull as systems flared awake. Dust burst from vents. Panels lit. The desert seemed to tremble. "Admiral Eric Kane," the voice continued, resonant and steady. 512 years since last command input. Systems at 32% operational. Awaiting orders. Malik's blood ran cold. He knew that name. Every child did. Eric Kane, the hero who vanished during the siege of Orion, the man who led humanity's last fleet against the alien Vanar and never returned. His disappearance marked the end of the old empire. But that had been centuries ago. "I'm not him," Malik stammered. "I'm no admiral." A hatch hissed. A ramp descended, spilling sand. "Retinal scan confirms genetic continuity," the ship said. "You are a direct descendant. Chain of command intact. You are the Admiral." Malik's feet moved before his fear could stop them. He entered, awakening the relic. Inside, the ship gleamed as if untouched by time. Consoles flickered alive, bathing the chamber in blue light. A projection appeared, tall, broad-shouldered, clad in an officer's coat. His face was older, sterner, but the eyes were unmistakable. Malik's own. "I am the memory of Eric Kane," the projection said. "You bear my blood. Through you, command continues." Malik shook his head. "I'm a scavenger. I've never left the desert. Knowledge will be provided. Command is inheritance." Malik wanted to laugh, to scream. But the ship didn't wait. Information poured into his mind through the consoles. Navigation, tactics, systems control. He gasped as understanding crystallized, knowledge no desert dweller should ever have. It terrified him. It thrilled him. The desert lords stir. Word spread quickly. Scavengers whispered of Malik finding a relic. By week's end, the warlord Jaskier scouts appeared, circling like vultures. Jaskier was ruthless. He controlled the water reserves, enslaved entire clans, and crushed dissent with brutality. If he seized this ship, the desert would drown in blood. Malik stood at the viewport, watching their torches flicker in the dunes. "They'll come," he muttered. "And they won't stop." "Shall I defend?" the ship asked. Malik swallowed. "Do it." That night, when raiders approached, blue energy pulsed from the hull. Weapons melted. Vehicles stalled. Men screamed and fled. The desert carried their cries for miles. Malik sat alone in the command chair afterward, shaking. The ship had chosen him. And that meant war. Lessons of blood. The days that followed blurred into drills. The AI, cold, patient, guided Malik through training. Flight maneuvers, tactical simulations, fleet coordination. He resisted at first, but the ship was relentless, layering knowledge onto instinct until orders slipped from his lips as naturally as breath. At night, he dreamed. Of stars burning. Of ships colliding in silence. Of a man who looked like him, giving commands, holding the line, dying to buy humanity time. He woke drenched in sweat. One evening, Malik asked softly, "Why did you fight, Kane? Why sacrifice everything?" The hologram's face was somber. "Because the Venar do not conquer. They erase. I scattered the fleet, hid fragments across worlds, to preserve hope. If you hear this, then the war is not over." Malik stared into the projection's eyes. He wanted to deny it. To say the war was history, dust, myth. But something deep in him knew better. The siege of the wastes. Jaskier returned with fury. An army this time, hundreds of raiders, siege cannons dragged across the sands, skimmers bristling with guns. They surrounded the half-buried vessel like a tide of fire. From the loudspeaker boomed his voice. "Whoever hides inside, surrender the relic. Or be buried with it." Malik's pulse thundered. He wasn't a fighter. He wasn't Kane. And yet, the command chair welcomed him like it had been waiting 5 centuries. "Ship," Malik said, his voice steadying. "Can you fight?" "Weapons at 20%. Shields stable. Recommend tactical engagement." He closed his eyes, then opened them hard. "Do it." The desert lit like dawn. Plasma fire seared the night, shredding raider lines. Shields rippled as cannon struck, only to break against ancient power. Malik shouted orders, his hands moving over consoles with a confidence that felt both alien and familiar. Sand turned to glass. Raiders fled, leaving wrecks smoldering behind. By dawn, Jaskier's army was broken. His reign shattered. And Malik's name spread across the wastes, spoken in awe, in fear. The signal. Weeks later, the ship stirred with something new. "Admiral." Long-range signal detected. Fleet fragment coordinates uplinked. Malik froze. Fleet fragment. Other ships. Other remnants of Kane's scattered armada, hidden across the stars. He stared at the blinking coordinates. He could leave the desert. He could reclaim the lost fleet. But leaving meant abandoning the clans who now looked to him as protector. Staying meant burying the legacy Kane had left him. The projection of Kane appeared, gaze unwavering. "The desert is not your destiny. The Venar are not gone. Humanity cannot remain in dust. You must choose." Malik's chest tightened. He was no admiral. He was just a man born in sand. And yet, perhaps that was why he had been chosen. The Admiral returns. At dawn, the ship rose. Engines screamed alive, sand avalanching from its hull. The ground shook. The clans gathered, wide-eyed, watching the relic of legends take to the skies. On the command deck, Malik gripped the console, heart steady. His voice, amplified, carried across the dunes. "This is not the end of the desert. This is the beginning of the stars. We were never meant to crawl. We were meant to soar. And we will again." The clans bowed as thrusters blazed. Children wept. Elders raised hands to the heavens. The vessel ascended into the dawn, a ghost reborn. And the AI's voice echoed one last time. "Good to serve you again, Admiral." For the first time, Malik didn't deny it. He embraced it. 500 years later, the Admiral had returned.